Greg, DJ Kleen, Bridgman with Best Damn Show. I'm here with one of my best friends, Tony Moser, guitarist for Jaded Heart, and an impromptu video that he's probably not too happy about. So we'll get things started. I'm just going to briefly ask you, what was it that compelled you to play or start playing guitar?
I couldn't have been 3 to 4 years old. My dad had a guitar, or there was a guitar in the home. We used to live up on Elsie Street. And I just remember this acoustic guitar that just fascinated me. I was just fascinated, intrigued by it. And from that moment on, I knew guitar, I loved that instrument.
And so, when you did you start playing it when you were 3 automatically, or?
No, I mean pluck a string.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I was always fascinated with it. I couldn't play at a very young. I don't remember how old I was. My mom. Later on, 7, 8, I don't remember. I took classical piano lessons.
Oh.
Yeah. Which I hated every minute of it because I wanted to play guitar. And I took classical piano lessons for about 3 years. I was allowed to quit piano and pursue the guitar, and that,
Did you take lessons from anybody? Like Lou or anybody like that?
No, but Lou Desio at Treble Clef, when I first started playing, he played chords, which at a young age, I knew most of the basic, chords, G, A, D, C, stuff, just basic chord work. But I was, of course, I'm not a big guy, and I was small when I was young, and fretting a C chord on a full scale guitar was quite difficult for me. But I was pursuing more. So Lou Desio turned me to Dennis Ball, that lived in the trailer park down by the sale barn. Okay. If you remember the trailer park, he had a little trailer, and I took lessons from him for about a year. He was a country picker, so he taught me the basics of solo work. Cause I was immature. I'm a slow mature. It took me a while and a lot of hard work.
Well, what was the first guitarist that you heard that you were just like, wow, I want to learn to play like that? You mentioned the Beatles.
George Harrison.
George Harrison. Yeah, I remember you mentioned the Beatles at the last interview. So
it just. And I believe the album, if I'm not mistaken, is it entitled The Early Beatles?
Early Beatles.
Twist and Shout.
Yes.
That album, when I heard the guitar work, I wanted to play that.
Yeah, their early work had a lot of blues influence in the chord progressions.
Yeah.
And then, so you went from that probably to, when did you start listening to heavy metal? What was the first group that you first heard?
Okay, my mom had a bunch of Beatles albums. There were others. I think Sgt. Pepper's was one.
Rubber Soul's my favorite.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I like those. But there was others. I had some old cassette tape, 8-track. The kind when you pushed it in, when you wanted to hear your song, you had to listen to 2 or 3 before it got to the one you wanted. But anyway, Steppenwolf, some old Foreigner
Yes.
type stuff.
Yes.
You know, those old ones like that. But the metal part of it, it was around Christmas, and Mom was Christmas shopping, and we were in Magic Mart. You remember Magic Mart used to be where J.C. Penney's, or where J.C. Penney's used to be. We was in Magic Mart, and I was looking through the albums. I was about, 10, 11, 9, I don't remember. But anyway, I was looking through the albums, and I saw Kiss Alive 1, the double live album. And I don't know, I guess, they call that shock rock now.
Yeah.
But that's when I started getting, Ace, I heavily influenced by Ace Frehley. I learned those songs off just listening to an album by ear, trial and error. Some of it wasn't right, but I'd even slow it down. Cause back then you didn't have YouTube and all the software to learn a song. That had a lot of fast stuff in it. You would have to you'd slow it down, and then you'd have to tune your guitar down. It was torturous to think about it. But, that's what got me into that. Then follow that, there was Ted Nugent had double live Gonzo. I got into some Ted Nugent. Listened to quite a bit of that, but Ace Frehley was probably other than George Harrison, Ace Frehley was another one that influenced my playing.
Now, during this time, you probably listened to some Black Sabbath and Tony Iommi,
Yeah, that was later on.
Right.
My friends in high school, because I'm a homebody.
Yeah.
I didn't get out much. The only thing I did was play guitar. They'll tell you that. You're one of them.
Yeah.
I'd rather be home playing my guitar than to be out.
Yeah.
But my friends introduced a lot of this stuff. I was introduced by my friends because I was home all the time.
Yeah.
We didn't have the internet or any connection back then like that. So they would introduce all these bands to me. It was the next after Kiss and Ted Nugent came Van Halen.
Yes.
Eruption for the first time. I had no idea what he was doing on that. It was just insane. But Eruption, Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads' Diary of a Madman was my next.
That's an unbelievable symphony of metal.
Yeah. And I would say I'm more of a Randy Rhoads fan than Eddie Van Halen. I got hooked on Eddie Van Halen for a while, but after I heard Randy Rhoads, there's something about that neoclassical sound.
Yeah, he kind of brought that to the forefront, didn't he?
Yeah, I was gravitated more in that direction for some reason.
Yeah, you can listen to Yngwie, or if you ever listen to some of Yngwie's video or interviews, and Paul Gilbert, they were heavily influenced by that neoclassical style.
Right, and I don't know, maybe it was my classical piano lessons at a young age that I don't know. That's just where I'm gravitated toward.
Well, you were around too, I guess, when Randy died in that plane crash, huh?
Yeah.
So just when you thought that, there was a new guitarist that was up and coming and had a hell of a future, he was snuffed out,
Yeah.
Well, did you, when the British new wave of heavy metal hit, Judas Priest, Saxon, Iron Maiden, was you still in high school when that hit?
Yeah. Of course, it's hard to remember, but through all this time, Judas Priest, Screaming for Vengeance.
Yeah.
My favorite album, because you always notice usually with a group, your favorite album of that group is the first one that you heard.
Yeah.
That is, it's like that with me a lot. Screaming for Vengeance.
Mine was Defenders of the Faith.
Yeah, was probably your first one.
No, my first one, Jody Gilpatrick played me. The one that had it was like one of their third albums. I can't remember. It was Sad Wings of Destiny.
Yeah.
That's the first song I ever heard by Judas Priest, and that was it. But now, Defenders of the Faith was the first one that I bought with my own money.
Right.
But there's something about that album that's heavier, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, the Judas Priest, and then Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast.
So did you hear Number of the Beast before Paul Di'Anno?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I went back to listen to some old Maiden, and I didn't really particularly.
Yeah, it was more punk rock, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's not anything against punk rock. It's just not my genre. Again, I'm going to go back on what I just said. I heard Number of the Beast. It's one of my favorite albums, but and it's not satanic.
No, it's about a dream.
Yeah, it's about a dream. Peace of Mind is probably my favorite album from Iron Maiden, and that took their neoclassical metal, you know, in that direction.
They were progressive too.
Yeah, they were progressive. I clung to them the most, so they were a heavy influence on me.
Peace of Mind, my cousin Scott was down on Christmas vacation, and he played me Revelations. And he goes, wait till you hear these guys. And I was blown away. And this was 1984. I was in 7th grade. And so but prior to this, I'd never heard Number of the Beast. I went backwards, you know. And then Lance bought Number of the Beast, and we were blown away again. And then when Power Slave came out, that's my favorite album by them. That's probably their greatest album, you know, in my opinion. But yeah, that whole album, there'd never been anything like it before that.
Right, yeah. All those albums were great too.
Yeah, but the Paul Di'Anno stuff, that just...
Yeah, I didn't particularly like any of the older stuff.
I mean, if Bruce went back and sang those songs, you know, it might be different. Yeah. And Adrian, you know, now that they got 3 guitar players with Yannick Gers, maybe if they went back and re-recorded those, I might have a different opinion about them. But, you know.
Through this time period also came, and of course I think it was a little bit later on. I was still in high school. George Lynch. Yeah, good friend of mine, Eric Woodward, introduced me to Dawkins, and I think the first song that I heard was Tooth and Nail.
Yeah.
And of course I listen, you know, I've got that album, listened to it, and that I was a big George Lynch fan, heavily influenced by him as well.
Yeah, he had he brought to the table a different style of playing.
Yeah. I like this style a lot.
I like it because if you listen to Breaking the Chains album, and there's an evolution, not just with him, but with the band as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, and they were kind of raw on this album. They got better on this one. Under Lock and Key is amazing. And then they just killed it with Back for the Attack. Yeah. That's my favorite album.
Yeah. Tooth and Nail. But I was Lynch Mob. I think they're a greater band.
Yeah, they are. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Lynch Mob.
But they are good. Yeah. You talking about with Oni Logan or Robert Mason?
Which one was the first
Oni was the first one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
the first.
That album is better. It's heavier. It's more gritty.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And that is some of George Lynch's best guitar work, I think.
Yeah. As a guitar player, that was my favorite one. And I got to meet him too when I was out in Phoenix.
Yeah, lucky.
When Jaded Heart, when we were opening for Fight.
Well, I got to hang out with Brad Gillis, so there you go.
All right.
Well, now. I remember I came home from the military and I ran into Michael, Jade Hart's bass player, and he said, "Man, have you heard Lynch Mob?" And I said, "I've heard Wicked Sensation." He's like, "Well, have you heard anything from Don Donkin's new album?" I said, "No." So I went over to Lou's and I bought both of those, and I listened to that Don Donkin album, the solo album, Up from the Ashes. I was blown away. That's like, to me, that would have been Donkin's next album. But it took 2 guitar players to fill the shoes of George. You know, they hired John Norum from Europe and Billy White from Watchtower. But that album, that's a great album too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's more glam metal than you know, Lynch Mob was just flat out heavy metal, you know. But,
Yeah, of course, you know, back in that day it was still glam metal, but Lynch Mob was a little different. It wasn't, they had a certain sound to
they're more blues metal,
Yeah.
you know.
We played a lot of that glam metal, but I never particularly liked that stuff.
Yeah, some of y'all's earlier,
Poison.
some of y'all's earlier original music, like Sister in Chains,
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah,
stuff like
that came out.
heavily influenced by Dawkins, sounded like, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are good songs too. I mean, I like them.
Right. Well.
Okay, so now we're entering the '90s, and the first, probably I'm going to guess the first two grunge groups you heard. Number one was Alice in Chains, and then number two was Soundgarden.
Soundgarden.
And then you had to be just completely blown away because this was brand new to the metal community.
Yeah, and to back up, there's so many guitarists in that era. Still in the '80s. Well, there was Joe Satriani. That he came later on in the '80s, maybe early '90s. I don't remember.
Well, Steve Vai was around.
Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, and Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah, those were, you had to be heavily influenced by them too.
Yeah. Allison James and Soundgarden was my. They were my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back. Yeah, let's go back to that '80s because I'm going to say at the height of '80s metal, which was about '86 on up to '90, you had John Sykes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Sykes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he's not metal, but you know, Steve Lukather.
Steve Lukather, yeah. All like there's just so
many, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, Neil Sean.
Yeah.
I've always loved his approach on his melodies, on his solo work.
Yeah.
A lot of his solos are melodies. Him.
Trevor Raymond.
Yeah.
Al Petrelli.
Yeah.
So you remember all these guys?
I forgot his name. Steve Stevens.
Yeah. Yeah.
For Billy Idol.
And you know, he ended up being Vince Neil's guitar player on Vince Neil's solo album Exposed.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't
when they kicked him, when he got kicked out of Motley Crue, he formed a band with Stevens.
Yeah.
That's some of his best guitar work too. But yeah, he's good.
But yeah, there's a lot of those guys that are underrated like that, like Steve and.
Well, you remember White Line?
Both two Steves, Lukather and Stevens.
You remember White
Line?
Okay,
yeah.
their guitar player was named Vito Bratta.
Yep.
That guy.
He was good.
Yeah.
He was different too.
And I'm going to quote Zach Wilde. Zach Wilde said, "I had never to that day heard anybody that could tap as good as Vito Bratta."
Yeah.
Or Vito Bratta.
Yeah, he was good.
He was new and exciting, you know.
Yeah, he was different.
He was. Everybody wants to compare him with Eddie Van Halen, but he was like if Eddie Van Halen would have decided to take his game to the next level, he would have been Vito Bratta. That's the best way I can describe him.
Right.
You know, that guy don't even do anything anymore. He's like,
no, he's taking care of his parents.
Yeah, he's like went completely underground.
Yeah. Well, last night he's taking care of his parents.
Okay, now let me stay in here and then we'll go back to the '90s. Cacophony, Jason Becker and Marty Friedman.
Yeah.
They came out around 84, 85. That was neoclassical stuff too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, and Baker, he's got like Lou Gehrig's disease, but he's still writing. And as far as I know, but yeah, see, when I first heard them, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, there's too many. There's just too many to mention.
Yeah. So, '90s comes along. Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. They're a little bit off the beaten path of regular, rhythm, solo, bridge, chorus. They're more like just straight out. It's more riffing.
Yeah.
Especially Kim Thale from Soundgarden.
Right. Yeah.
So and then this is when y'all's kind of music kind of started going in that direction, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, we were influenced
Yeah.
by that. Or as a guitar player, I was. And that's where, that's, the songs like Faith,
Yeah.
The Crying Kind,
Yeah.
Savior, those songs were influenced during that grunge era.
In Pantera, they were a glam metal band back in the 80s, and they were terrible. But when they hit the 90s, they decided to bring that pure metal
Yeah.
amongst all the grunge. And I noticed there's a few of y'all songs like The Power that's kind of influenced by Pantera.
Yeah, the Pantera.
Yep.
Pantera. The Power
Yeah.
is influenced by Pantera.
Yeah, especially that breakdown. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite songs too. I like that.
Yeah.
But did you feel it was kind of giving you a break structurally? The grunge music as there's not really solo. There's not a whole lot of solo area to perform a solo in a lot of that music. Did you feel it kind of gave you a break structurally, or?
No, I never thought of that. I was just even the solos on our music that we done, my solos were, short. They weren't extended long.
Right.
Probably the longest one is Rattlebones.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there were some long solos. I just always tried. I don't know how to say it.
Well, you're evolving.
Well, no, I've just always considered I'm just a plain old Jane guitarist,
I beg to disagree with that.
I just always tried to write to what I like to practice things I can't do, but as far as writing, if I'm ever going to have to perform something, then I want to make sure that I'm able to play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something I'm not. I've just always tried to write to my style, I guess.
So amongst all this grunge movement, there was one group that just kind of, I know it did me. It blew you out of the water. It's Dream Theater. Let's talk about them for a minute.
Yeah. Okay. So we're in the grunge. Right in the middle of it. Right in the middle of it. We are in Memphis. At what's the name of that recording studio? Crosstown. Yeah. Downtown.
The Easley Brothers.
Downtown Memphis.
Yep, right there by the pyramid.
Yep. Crosstown, right downtown Memphis. We were there for 4 days recording, and we were doing Faith, Beggar's Creed, Possession. You know those first few songs. I can't think of the other one. Rattlebones.
Well, there's Beggar's Creed, Rattlebones, Possession, and
anyway, we had went to record those. While we were in Memphis for 4 days, we couldn't afford a hotel room because we were poor, broke. So we stayed with Chuck Driver's grandmother. I hope I'm right about that. So in Osceola.
Osceola.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Osceola?
that's right.
Anyway, we stayed there at night. So we drive. It's not too far of a commute. So anyway, we stayed there in Osceola. And one of those nights, it might have been the first or second, we came in, ate supper, she fed us well, and we were watching MTV, and 1992, Pull Me Under came on MTV, and Chuck, the next day, immediately went to the record store there downtown in Memphis and bought the Images and Words, and we listened from that moment on to this very day. I was hooked.
Yeah.
It's
that's another band that you probably, like me, had to go backwards with, Because,
Yeah,
with the
couldn't
Charlie
go-
Dominucci.
Yeah, you couldn't go backwards with them too much.
Too much. One album.
One album, and when Dream and Day Unite, a lot of people don't like it, but I do.
No, I did what you suggested that I go back and listen to it a couple of times, and yeah, it's brilliant. You can tell where they were going.
It's Dream and Day Unite, the first Dream Theater. That's like a Queen's Rock,
Yes.
Iron Maiden, together.
Yeah, but you can tell where they were going.
Yeah, very progressive.
Very progressive.
Yeah. And Queen's Rock's a group that I forgot.
And you can go further back with the Chris Collins era, but that was Majesty. And
yeah, Majesty.
But you couldn't tell as much where they were headed as you could with Charlie Dominucci,
Yeah.
But yeah, that Images and Words blew me away. Let me tell you what song, you might agree or disagree, but the second release off that album, Take the Time.
Yeah.
That right there, that cemented it.
Yeah.
And I went and bought the CD, and I was just blown away.
Right. Yeah. But yes, since that time, that group, man, I've just, and still to this day, I just love that style of progressive music. I mean, man, they give you everything.
Yeah. And that's why I tell people too, when they ask me, because I got this shirt, and they'll say, "Who's Dream Theater?" And I'll say, "Well, they're progressive metal," but you can't really say that about them anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
they're progressive rock, progressive classical, progressive, ballads, progressive metal. They're just progressive.
Well, if you listen to something, they even got some country parts in some of their breakdowns.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
And they're the master of concept albums.
Yeah, they're concept albums. Yeah. Metropolis too.
Yeah. My favorite one is The Astonishing.
Yeah.
That's a great one too.
If I'm not mistaken, John and Jordan composed that album. Everything by themselves.
Lyrics, music, everything.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken.
No, you're right. You're right. That's correct.
Yeah. They done all of it.
Yeah, they started kind of went away from Words of Music by Dream Theater. This album was like Jordan Rudess and John Petrucci.
Yeah.
So did you now during this, Petrucci released his first album, which we all knew was going to happen eventually. What did you think first listening to that? Because
his solo.
Yeah, mind you, you've heard Satriani solo albums, you've heard Steve Vai solo albums.
Yeah.
When you heard Petrucci's.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, it was insane, wasn't it?
Yeah. All those songs, insane. And his new one now, Terminal Velocity.
It's awesome. The title track off that is unbelievable.
Yeah, and I'm not saying everyone has their favorite guitarist.
Yeah.
Nobody's better than anybody else. I guess you could. It all comes down to a preference, opinion. And I mean, there's kids today that it's like, how in the world could them kids play like that? It's insane.
Yeah.
But the Petrucci style, I just like that style.
It fits you like a glove.
Yeah, that's just something, everybody gravitates towards some kind of a genre or style of guitar, whatever you're into, musical instrument. But that right there is just that style. And anyway, that's.
I think when me and you were talking on the way back from seeing them Graceland back in October 2019.
Yeah.
We were trying to come up with a word to describe Petrucci's sound, and I just kind of blurted out, "That's the cleanest guitar sound I have ever heard in my life." And you was like, "That's right, that's clean. He's clean.
It's clean.
It's just clean.
It's clean." But I'm playing now. I'm playing through a Mark V Mesa Boogie. Back in the day, I played through Peavy's.
Yeah, and the 5150 was big back
then.
then.
They're great amps. I still I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's right there behind you.
Yeah, but you're able to find that sound that Petrucci's got through that.
Yeah, the Mesa Boogies. There's a certain sound that they only make that I like. Not everybody likes it, but again, you're going back to preference.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that. How can I say this? It's been said before that you've got, if you're going to play through an amp like that, then you've got to make sure that your chops are up to snuff. Because if they're not, everybody else is going to know it.
Yeah, yeah. It's easy to pick out the mistakes on it.
Yeah, it's very humbling to. When I first, I mean, still today, I have good days, and then some days I come up here and play, and it's like, man, I can't play. You know, it's just everybody's like that, but it's.
Well, the thing I love about that sound is when I say clean for my audience, I don't mean high trebly. I mean, it's got low end, and it's clear. It's crystal clear.
Yeah, it's got a clean sound to it.
And that's what attracts me to Dream Theater, because nobody has. Petrucci has invented that. I don't even think he realizes it, but he's invented that clean, crisp, clarity sound. You know.
Yeah.
But it's still got that good low end that gives you that punch. You know.
Right.
And even his solos are just, I mean, crystal clear.
Right.
Like it's like rocks across the pond, man.
It is. It's clean and clear.
Yeah.
That's what I like, and that's what I've seen. Being influenced by that, like I used to just play through my 5150.
Yeah.
And that 5150's that's the first. When they first came out, what year was it?
That was like 1990, wasn't it?
I don't know, but the year that they came out, that's when I bought that amp.
Yeah.
And it's a great amp. You know.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe the 5150 when it came out, when Eddie Van Halen got out, they had just released For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, and it was thick. His guitar sound was thick.
Yeah,
and it was because of the tubage that he invented on these.
Right.
And so you had that nice thick, and then but that was the sound back then. Grunge was really thick and prevalent in the music, you know.
Yeah.
So that was perfect for what y'all were doing, you know.
Right. But it wasn't until after I got into Dream Theater and I started hearing that clear tone, clean. That's when I wanted, I wanted more of a clean sound. And plus, I was getting older too. I guess when you get older, you just evolve.
Yeah.
I began to like less gain.
Yeah.
In my sound, which your hands always like more gain.
Yeah.
but your ears don't.
Right.
And it's vice versa.
It makes your ears buzz if there's too much.
Yeah, it gets a little unclear.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, so when you started listening to this, did you see the music of Jaded Heart kind of take that progressive route? Or to me, when I listened to it, y'all got heavier, but it was more of a fight heavy than it was a Dream Theater heavy.
Okay. We discovered Dream Theater through Images and Words when we were doing Rattlebones.
Right.
Faith, the Suffer demo that has Faith and stuff like that on it. Our next demo, like a year later maybe, I don't remember. Our next demo was what I call Demo 1.
Right.
And it had Psycho Man, The Crying Kind, Savior.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
Oh,
anyway, it had those songs, and that was the kind of direction. That's my favorite demo of Jaded Heart that we done.
Yeah.
That style of music.
Well, I heard a lot of Pantera influence on that album.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
The Power.
The Power.
Well,
even The Crying Kind reminded me of like Cemetery Gates, kind of, Just kind of that, and then with that punch that comes after it.
Now the crying kind was, you probably won't know this, but it was influenced by Dream Theater.
Was it really?
The crying, the guitar part.
Wow.
Dream Theater.
It's a great song.
You probably, I mean, you probably don't know that, but coming from me, that's, inspired me to do some of that stuff.
Well, the demo 2 after that, that's when y'all took it to the next level.
Okay, well, see, off of that demo, that's how Rob Halford's manager, somehow Chuck can inform you on this better than I can. We were discovered, and we were invited to come out and open a three-night show with Phi.
Wow.
Rob Halford's new band out in Phoenix, Arizona at the Mason Jar. And I couldn't believe it,
Yeah. Did that get paid pretty good?
Yeah, well, we got paid. I don't remember how much, but not.
The recognition alone was worth every penny.
Yeah, it was just fun and excitement about it, about to be able to do something like that. But we were heavily influenced by that. So when we came back, naturally, demo 2, which is, and I hope I don't get in trouble with the other members here of the band, but that's my least favorite, simply because
you let somebody dictate where your sound was going.
Well, I let that influence that sound, and that's not.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the drop. That entire demo's drop D.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and I just don't. One or two songs are all right, but we done that whole demo on drop D, and they're good songs. I mean, I like to play them, but it's not. I'm just saying it's not my favorite.
Well, also during this time, I mean, y'all had paid your dues. You've been writing this music, releasing these demos, trying your hardest to get a record deal, especially during that time where Mother's Day Out goes on across town or Crossroads, and they get a record deal first show. So now now the fire has been lit not only under Jaded Heart but other bands in this area.
Yeah.
Everybody thought they were going to get a record deal, but I mean, you guys were the closest to anybody. So anybody that told you, hey, we will give you a record deal if you can bring your music up to another level. So that's kind of what strikes me about demo 2.
Yeah.
That was y'all. I mean, and hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Y'all were trying to make it to the big time, and were taking advice from other people on how to get there.
Yeah.
What did you say? Was that your correct statement?
Yeah. Now, and there's other songs that we wrote during that time that have never been recorded before.
Yeah, that's what Michael was saying.
That aren't in drop D.
Yeah.
Just standard 2D.
Well, it was also this time where the same people were saying, change your name to UVA.
Well, that was a necessity. We just
But y'all ended up going back to Jaded Heart, so when it didn't pan out.
Maybe, I don't remember.
Yeah, well, I remember because y'all went by UVA, maybe did 2 or 3 shows, and then when things didn't pan out, with that record company or that entertainment place, you decided to go back to Jaded Heart.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little gray in my mind. I don't remember all the details.
So going forward, I mean, these songs, are y'all going to re-record these songs, or? Yeah,
we've talked about it. I just talked to Chuck recently that he and I definitely want to go back and re-record those 3 demos and then try to do just, as time allows us, to try to do some new songs, and maybe pick out a few of the older ones that we never recorded.
Yeah. Well, do you see, now that you're heavily influenced with progressive, do you see Jaded Heart maybe adding some keyboards into the mix, or?
I don't know.
But do you think that's got a place with y'all style?
Yeah. Well, I always wanted a keyboard player.
Yeah.
You know, instead of and I know some groups take 2 guitar players, but it's never been my, you know, I'd always prefer to have a keyboard player because you can, when you had a keyboard player in your group, you can open up your songwriting. You can go to different places with that.
Yeah. So do you see that maybe in?
Who knows?
You know. I mean, personally, I can see y'all going that direction.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to play keyboards, so I mean.
Well, I used to take classical piano, but I've never pursued that. So
Don't be so humble.
No,
you're
I can't.
good.
I cannot play piano, so don't ask me to play.
We've recorded some songs together where you play keyboards, so.
Yeah, but they're just. I know my way around on the keyboard. It's just I'm not coordinated. I've lost that because I just play guitar. It's like I play violin too, but I'm not. I'm just I play it in church.
Yeah.
But it's not my guitar has always been my instrument.
Right. Now on that on the Suffer album, that was y'all's full-fledged, perfectly produced. You know, I don't like to even call it a demo. Let's call it an EP. We'll call it an extended play. I mean, I know it cost y'all a pretty penny back in the day, but you actually did all of the string instruments on that demo, didn't you?
Which one?
Suffer.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was just 3 of y'all that went down there to record that, and you did all the strings on it.
I don't remember.
Michael was unavailable at the time, and
I don't know. I've always had a great memory, but there's some areas that I'm just
I was bringing it up because kudos to you, because I mean
I do recall, I don't know where it is or when it was, but I do recall having to play bass and guitar on some recordings, but I can't tell you it was here.
it was the whole Suffer.
I don't know.
There you go, folks. Old age. Well, let's talk about the show. It's April 14th, 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Greasy Bend RV Park.
Yeah.
Is there anybody opening up for y'all? Or
No.
It's just y'all
Jaded.
jumping on the stage,
Jaded Heart. Yeah.
knocking it out.
Yeah.
So we can expect a nice blend of classics.
Yeah, you'll hear all of our songs off the demos. The 3,
Yeah.
demo 1, 2, and Suffer.
Right.
And then we got a few classics, 80s metal.
Oh yeah.
That we'll do. That, and we've been rehearsing some, but see, this is the first time we've played together, 4 of us, since 2004.
Yeah.
The last reunion. And we've already learned some songs that we've let go because you got to try to find the song that fits you.
Yeah.
That fits Jaded Heart. There's been songs that sound good, but they just didn't fit us.
Yeah. Me and you were talking about give and take. That ain't gonna fly, is it?
I don't know.
That's such a good song.
I just don't know.
Me and Joel Austin wanted to start a petition to get y'all to play that. That's how good that song is.
I don't see it. It's me. I just don't see it.
Yeah. But Murder,
Now, Murder is one song that's not on any of those.
Any of them.
that we'll do.
Yeah, my copy was a practice session that one of the engineers recorded while y'all were playing.
Yeah.
So, but it's a great song too. Very powerful.
Yeah.
It was grunge influence, that song.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell that y'all were kind of going in that direction,
But yeah, we'll do some classic 80s metal. We do have a few grunge. You'll hear some Alice in Chains and hopefully some Soundgarden.
Yes, yes. What song were y'all thinking about doing by Soundgarden? Outshine, maybe?
Maybe. Yeah, that's
or Rusty Cage or one of those.
Outshined.
Outshined.
Maybe we'll see.
That's a
like
great
I said,
song.
you just don't know till you get to rehearsal and you go through it and just see what it feels like with everybody.
I don't know if you
but
remember.
That song. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I don't know if you remember, but over here at your other house, you taught me how to play Man in the Box and Outshine, and you showed me how to muffle that. You know, dun, 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 dun,
oh,
dun.
mute the strings.
Yeah, or really goes.
It's easy.
It's a technique.
You got a sign coming up on your.
Oh, yeah. Well,
anyway, it's a technique. It's easy once you get it, but I know it's when I first started playing guitar to mute.
Yeah.
To mute my strings, it was so. It's like how do you do that? But after a while, it's just second nature.
Yeah, it's kind of like harmonics. It's kind of hard to figure out, but once you do, it becomes second nature.
Yeah. And it's just like controlling like when you're playing through a high gain amp. A lot of people don't understand the what it takes to control that gain, because if you put a novelist up on a stage with a high gain amp, it's going to be they're going to get feedback and you have to learn how to control that with your two hands.
I thought it's funny at y'all's practice when I was there. Mike was complaining that he said, "Man, that guitar sounds about to make my ears bleed."
Oh.
Turn it down. And then you came back and said, "Yeah, I need to turn that down because my ears was hurting the next day."
I usually wear earplugs. I don't like wearing earplugs because I can't. For some reason, when I wear earplugs, I've got to hear what I'm playing.
Yeah.
But sometimes I just got to put the earplugs in because I can't. It's just, I'm used to playing in my studio here.
Yeah.
And the music is as loud as you and I talking.
Yeah.
It's quiet. I use Archetype Neural DSP plugins on my recordings. No amps. It's just all nice and quiet and peaceful. So it's definitely a different environment for me when we rehearse in that loud atmosphere. But I'm getting used to it. Yeah.
Well, everybody, you got anything else for us, Tony?
No.
It's been very insightful. Make sure everybody comes to the show April 14th, 8 p.m. Jaded Heart takes the stage at Greasy Bend RV Park. And check us out on Best Damn Show every Wednesday on our segment, Headbangers Ball Hump Day. I will be playing pictorial videos with their original music. So if you've never heard some of the songs that we were talking about, you can definitely hear it on Wednesdays. So for Tony Moser, this is Greg DJ Kleen Bridgman. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.